Hello everyone, welcome to Reload Revelation, the show where we break down some gear, talk about some guns, and overall, have a good time. I'm your host Ryan Souls, and thank you for joining me again. Do me a favor, if you like this content, please subscribe, hit that bell for notifications, and give a like on this video if you like it, because it helps me out, helps you out. Now let's take this journey on together. So for the first story I got for you today, South Carolina is passing an open carry bill. It was passed through the House Committee by a 28-15 vote. This is super important because not only are they good chances of having an open carry law in the books, but they're going to be the 28th state if they do. Now, to incentivize people to open carry, they reached a compromise in the House of Representatives to offer free training. Now, obviously, training is one of the most important things, if not the most important thing, when it comes to firearms and firearms safety is training. Now, whether or not they're actually going to go through with this, well, time can tell. I know for certain when it comes to Michigan's laws, I know we have an open carry law. However, that could be changed overnight because, let's face it, the current regime does not like firearms. Speaking of which, when it comes to Michigan, February 13th, that is the day before Valentine's Day and the day before Ash Wednesday. Couldn't make that up. They're going to start enforcing red flag laws. Now, what's a red flag law? Well, I'm so glad you asked. It's unfortunately a law that is going to give people the unconstitutional right to seize your firearms, i.e. the judges that put in these orders for you. Now, here's the thing. Is it a good idea to do red flag laws overall? No. Because their main point is that they want to pass red flag laws for domestic violence offenders. Okay, starts off good, and then it gets a little rough. With domestic violence offenders in the state of Michigan, there are three options. Your first offense, misdemeanor. Second offense, misdemeanor. Third offense, that's when the felony comes into action. How about this? Here's a thought. Instead of 1, 2, 3 offenses on the same thing, if you're so worried about it, make the first offense with evidence. Mind you gotta have evidence because everyone is innocent until proven guilty. Make that first part a felony. If convicted, make it a felony. Ergo, you don't need red flag laws. Everyone is happy. I don't know if they're sending social workers to domestic violence calls. Hopefully they're not, because we all know that doesn't work. But sometimes you just gotta outthink their logic. And let's be perfectly fair, they don't have any logic. So coming back to South Carolina with open carry, that means you are openly carrying a firearm on your person. Everyone can see it. It is holstered. Makes sense. Most people are worried that felons are going to start open carrying, which, gotta hand it to you, that's got to be one of the most foolish things I think I've ever heard in my life. Why? Because criminals don't care about the laws. Why would they start carrying now? Criminals are going to break the law no matter what. Why? Because they're criminals. That's why. Plain and simple. So, to sweeten the pot for people that are worried about this, they're going to add on an extra 3 to 5 years if caught with a gun if you're a convicted felon. So they already had a strict policy as is. Now they're going to double down and make sure that it is strictly enforced. So if you are a convicted felon and you're caught carrying a firearm, straight back to jail, straight back to prison. Now, of course, it's interesting to think about felons carrying handguns and weapons and rifles and whatever you want. And they're so worried about the law-abiding citizen that knows the law, treats the law with respect. And that's what politicians are gearing towards when they want to take away firearms. It's got nothing to do with the criminals. In fact, I mean, we clearly seen this through the entirety of Chicago, Portland, everything. These people get off with a light sentence, if any sentence. As far as someone who shouldn't be professing their Second Amendment rights, it turns out that a teenager in Massachusetts, gotta be careful there, was caught with a fully automatic Glock pistol and drum mag. Mind you, not only is he underage to carry this by the law, he also had a GPS tracking unit on his ankle. So they knew where he was going. They knew where he was, and yet he did it anyway. It's kind of interesting. It's almost like, criminals don't care about the laws. Now, of course, with this kid having a GPS ankle unit, he clearly had some trouble in the past. It's unfortunate that he's going to face a felony charge now, but the law is the law. You got to respect the law. And mind you, here's a hot take. Drum mags suck.
Excuse me, the f*** did you just say?
The springs can get really wonky inside the drum mag, and for all intents and purposes, like, instead of taking the drum mag that's unreliable, carry more ammo within stick mags. That's my opinion on it. And then kind of the other story kind of goes along with this was a Florida man, had to be Florida, decided to point his weapon at another driver in a carpool lane for pickup and drop off at a school. But you can't just point your weapon at somebody. Now, this was in Lauderdale Lakes, Florida. Turns out when he was picking up his kid from school, someone was cheesing him off, for lack of a better word. So he decided to brandish with the intent to harm. And it turns out he got arrested. And as of Friday afternoon, last Friday, he is in Broward, Maine jail on a $1,000 bond. He was arrested for it, and he is awaiting one of those little small stories that just kind of popped up. I'm like, really? Really? You had to do this? I mean, granted, brandishing in and of itself, horrible. You do not want to do that ever. Blows my mind sometimes. It just blows my mind. As far as open carry goes, let's take a look at an open carry firearm that you might like. So today we are looking at the Springfield V10 Ultra Compact. This is a gun chambered in 45 ACP, which is a normal 1911 round. It's very popular when it comes to the full size. But this is a nice ultra compact design, easy to carry, concealed or open. First, let me show you. Very simple. Takes regular magazines for it. And we're going to show clear. We're going to lock the slide back. Nothing in the chamber. Nothing in the barrel. Now, this one is very interesting because it's done a couple aftermarket items to it. Of course, we have this very nice grip, which it's got some finger grooves in there. It fits nicely in the hand, as well as some porting, which is when a gunsmith drills out some holes in the barrel, and in this case, the slide as well, that could help mitigate recoil during that process. So when you're firing it, instead of it rocking all the way up, or for most handguns, it's back and a little bit up, this really kind of helps it stay on target after you have fired your shot. As far as 1911s go, I'm a big fan of them. I've always liked the style and platform and safety of the 1911. You notice a lot of the times is that when storing a 1911 style handgun, in this case, this V10, you see the hammers back, and people kind of get a little wary about that. I can tell you right now, it is perfectly fine. Why? Well, I'm so glad you asked. The reason why is because there are two main safeties on a 1911 style handgun, and that is this one on the back of the pistol grip, as well as there is a slide one, which we can rotate on this side. So right now, this is safe. Touch the trigger, the hammer's not going to fall at all. And you cannot rack the slide back because of that slide lock. Now, if we push that down, now the slide is open. It can travel back and forth. However, I still can't press that trigger all the way down. Why? Because on the other side, there is this safety, this grip safety, that you have to depress, holding it in your hand nice and tight, to where now that hammer can go forward, striking the fire pin, letting the round go. It's a nice safety feature. You are supposed to carry this with the hammer back and slide lock up. That way, when you pull out to present, you pull, click it down, and then you're ready to go. It's super simple. When 1911s were made, they were the talk of the town. I'm showing my age on this one. Anything that brings back a good design from history, I'm all about. So that is the standard operation of a mostly 1911 style weapon. This V10 Ultra Compact is super nice. It's chambered in 45 as mentioned before. It takes 5+1, so a little bit less capacity. It's a single stack mag, which is normal for a 1911 style handgun. It's got back serrations so you can grip that slide nice and easy. It's got a lot of aftermarket stuff done to it. Most of the time you're going to see on some carry guns kind of some personalizations, which I'm perfectly okay with. As far as the sights go, the sights are standard 1911 style sights with a notch and then a front fin or post. They're marked with some white dots to help you acquire your target a little bit easier. The trigger, I know, is an aftermarket style trigger. It's got a nice, comfortable feel towards it. And overall, it is very comfortable to hold. The magazine, when ejected, is nice and springy, unloaded. So that's got a nice feature to it. The only thing I would say is that I would have wished these grips were a little bit slimmer, because hitting that magazine release button on this side is a little hard to get to. However, for common use, just going to the range, shooting some paper targets, stuff like that, not a big deal. Obviously, you just need a little bit of practice, some weapon manipulation, make sure. Other than that, super simple. Now let's take this thing apart. So to take it apart, it requires a little bit of finesse. However, once you get it, you're perfectly fine. This slide lock needs to be on this middle notch to where when you pull it, you'll feel it. And then, because there's two big notches. The first notch, obviously, is our slide lock. You want it on that second notch. So to get that out, you want to depress your slide until you feel that pin sort of resting on it. It's a little tricky. Don't worry. Be patient. You'll get it. Obviously, make sure your gun is unloaded. Ours is. Once you get that out, you just pull it out like so. You can pull that slide all the way forward. You could take your receiver to the side, and this is where all your important stuff is. Much like any handgun, you take your recoil spring and buffer out. Now on this make and model, there is a little bushing that's going to fall out of there. You do not want to lose that. You want to make sure, and just make sure that when you're taking stuff apart, you just make sure that it goes back in the same way. So that bushing comes out just like that. And then, if we're very careful, we can take our barrel straight out the front. And now we can take a look at this barrel a little bit better. It's got a tapered edge to it on the sides. It looks pretty interesting, to say the least. But, I mean, that's your basic field strip. To put it back together, reverse the process. And then there's like this little swivel bushing. That's what keeps everything together. You want to make sure that's down. Okay, so if this is flipped up like that, you want to make sure it's down. Super simple. Next, we take our bushing in the correct orientation, slide it into your slide, take your recoil and buffer system, put that back down to where it is supposed to be. There is a locking, slide it back into place just like so. So that's resting on that lug that we pushed down. Take our receiver frame, slide it all the way back on, and we want to line up those holes until we can meet again while depressing that slide. Push that back into place. Very easy. Make sure we have manual working of arms. Slide's working. Safety's on. No click. Safety's off. And the hammer draws back. there you go. That's the easy breakdown of the V10 Subcompact 45 ACP from Springfield Armory. So when everyone is purchasing ammo for their weapons and such, you need a place to store it. Now, you know, ammo comes in either little cardboard boxes, easy enough. But if you want something a little bit more permanent that would actually be handy, you of course need ammo boxes. Now, there's a lot of different styles out there. However, I have mine, which is, of course, in certain fashion, a just generic ammo can. This one is metal. It's from an Army surplus store. I mean, honestly, that would be my recommendation, is to get one from an Army surplus store. Nice and easy. Because they come cheap. They come cheap. They're metal. They have a waterproof seal. And if that's broken, I mean, no worries. You can always replace the seal if need be. But as far as price goes, this is definitely the ammo box that I use because all in all, it's cheap, it's affordable, and it's got a locking latch as well as a carry handle. So once you lock it down and you're good to go, you just lift it up and it's just like that. It's easy and it's a piece of history. Who doesn't like history? But you know, as it says, this used to carry 7.62, which 9 times out of 10 ammo boxes are pretty much all the same, just depending on whether you want plastic or metal. I prefer metal because I think it looks a lot cooler. It's just my honest opinion. Usually you're going to get like some type of ammo like this. This is my 9mm. I got 40, 5.56. This is a 100 round box. As well as, you know, some 223, 5.56 in there, which all it's doing is just weatherproofing so that it's stored in a nice dry place. You don't have to worry about moisture getting into it because of that gasket seal. Lock it down. Once you have everything that you want to store in here, you just, of course, clasp it down and then put it wherever you want. Again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. If you like this content, do me a favor. Subscribe, hit that bell for notifications, and as always, remember these 5 rules. Never point your firearm at anything you don't intend on shooting. Know what is behind your target at all times. Be aware of your surroundings. Keep your finger off the trigger until you're ready to shoot. And of course, have fun. I'm Ryan Souls for Reload Revelation. Thank you so much for joining me today. Now do me a favor. Get yourself an ammo box. Don't care what kind it is. But most importantly, go catch some R&R.